I have 3 in the backstage. I've been drinking coffee. I can tell from the comments. You are in for a treat. It's Coffee and Words with Sarah Jenkins. We have Ivy and Cheryl joining her. I'm going to get out of the way and let you do your thing.
All
Hey.
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hello. We're here.
Oh my God. That hair is amazing. Cheers to that beautiful hair. All of our hair is gorgeous, but that color,
That purple.
I'm a little jelly.
You can do it too when you get old and gray.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, I want to welcome everybody to Coffee and Words. I know we've got some new people watching this, so this is exciting. And we are always well coffeeed. And I know we already showed our mugs, but let me see what we got here. Faith.
Oh,
beautiful.
Wait.
That's the second time I've seen a mug like that.
Oh my God, that is so cute.
Man. Isn't that precious, y'all? That's from Africa. I figured that would be fitting for our subject matter today.
I love that.
Awesome. Well, how are you guys doing?
It's Friday, Sarah. I'm glad we made it. Looking forward to the
whiskey
weekend.
in this cup, y'all. It is Friday.
We weren't going to talk about that, Ivy.
Well, in mine stuff. It's mine though. I don't mind sharing. That's the point of my podcast. You know, the beautiful, the ugly.
Healing with Ivy. Well, let me introduce you guys really quick, okay? Because I got my girl Ivy Roman, wrestler, comedian, actress, podcaster, Healing with Ivy, and Cheryl Morgan, author and entrepreneur. And purple hair. We love it.
I love it.
Yeah, can't get away from me.
Yeah, and when I was wrestling back in 2017, my character had all white silver hair. And I love that color. My mom's gray hairs are coming out right now, and I'm like, I'm jealous. I said I had to pay $350 4 times for this. That's expensive.
every 5 weeks, and I go 3.5 hours to get this done. So
yeah, you drive to Memphis for that.
Yeah, I do from Nashville.
Oh wow,
yeah.
I am dedicated. I've been with the same man. I'm sorry, the same hairdresser. I should not say same man. I'm lacking in that department. But I've been with the same hairdresser since I was 16. So he did my prom hair, my first wedding hair, my divorce hair. 10-year reunion hair, my second wedding hair, and is still with me today. So
I love it.
Him.
I'm so here for it.
Bless him. Well, Coffee and Words is a show where we offer support and encouragement to creatives, and we talk about all things art and creativity and, what we can do, how we can support each other. And we learn about some really cool people. I have musicians on and actors and just writers, anybody. So one of the cool things about podcasting, though, is the connections that we make. And I know all of us on here today on International Podcast Day, we all know the family that comes from, being a podcaster. And you meet other podcasters through your guests, through the people that email you, your listeners, your watchers. And so, part of that is the global connection. And I know, Ivy, you've had some people reach out to you via email from all over the world.
Yes, I actually received a video just the other day from this orphanage in Pakistan that literally was saying, like, God bless you, sister. We're thinking of you. And it's all the kids in the orphan. And it just warmed my heart like so much. And I didn't share it on social media because it's personal. And I was just like, nah, this is mine. Like, this was great. I was like, this meant the world.
Yeah. I know, Cheryl, you've done some mission work in Africa specifically.
I have. Yeah. Germany and Africa, actually. I've been to quite a few places. And in Africa, was on the ground there for almost 10 years. So met some people I still have connections with from, my first mission trip in 2001. It's amazing to really see how small the world is when you meet other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the value in that we can connect globally and build a community globally and have such a larger impact. And it not just that we're having an impact on other people, but it's like, I feel like they're having an impact on me. And I'm learning so much from all of the people that I've made connections with.
Yeah. We're learning time zones as well, aren't we, Sarah?
Yeah. Today and in England, there's going to be a time change on October 30th. If anyone needed to know that, we've learned that today.
I had no idea. England is probably like one of the top like audiences like for my podcast. So yeah, It's really beautiful just to see how people relate. And like you said, Cheryl, like this world is actually so small and we make it sometimes more bigger than what it is. And just the impact of community, of just loving on one another, relating to each other's stories, and really being that person that shows a difference, that hey, just because your world is not so hot right now, like you have a solid one over here, just that level of
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
So like with healing with the ivy, it's you're sometimes gonna get me solo, and usually the deeper episodes I won't be on video because I'm an ugly crier and I refuse to cry on camera. Not even for acting. I've worked my way around that, but not for real life or real deep topics.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when it's like with a guest, you know, my listeners like, hey, look, you have someone else. And it's just like you have someone else, just pulling people in, reeling them in to give them that support they need, especially for people that work remote at home and have literally nobody for majority of the day.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. That's hard.
it is.
That's, there's a whole different thing when you drive into work and you're surrounded by kind of your own little work community and you kind of feed off each other and you get to chit chat all day long. But when you're alone at home and kind of in front of the computer,
There's the dogs, and that's it. Bless them. They haven't started talking back to me yet, but I'm sure they'll start soon.
yeah, Cheryl has amazing dogs. Those
How
dogs
many?
I love them.
How many?
4 and
Ooh.
over 450 pounds worth of combined dog. So lots of dog food, all
That's a lot of-
rescues.
Are they gathered around you right now?
I'm surprised they haven't come hearing your voice, Sarah, since they love their Aunt Sarah so much.
Oh,
But
Aunt Sarah.
they're close. They're close enough. Trust me. They're listening in.
They're like, where is she?
They're quiet, so that means they're up to no good for sure.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't jinx it at all. Please don't.
Everyone, if Cheryl drops suddenly, we're gonna know.
Exactly. You'll know what. That's great.
Oh man. Well, what is tell me the most uplifting thing that you guys have experienced with connecting with people globally?
Wow. I'm going to jump in real quick, Ivy, and just kind of go on the coattails of what you were saying. And Sarah mentioned earlier, we think that, we're trying to be a parent and be on, these podcasts and really affect other people. And you said it, just like we do in mission trips, we go over expecting to bless other people and to do things for them. And then we are the ones that come back changed and the ones that come back blessed more than we can ever even imagine or even anticipate. So I think that's one of the things, we can always find a tie that binds us all together. I've always said, there's usually one or two connections or, between me and someone else. You just have to keep talking until we get there. I may upset a few people by continuing to talk and, digging the out, but there's always a connection there. And I love to uncover those.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's such an incredible thing to be a part of something where like I'm trying to provide something useful for other people, but I learn so much every time. And then I get encouraged because seeing that I'm not alone in all of these various things, because the people that I'm chatting with and that I'm meeting and connecting with, they're going through the exact same things.
Yeah. Or have words of wisdom. They've been through it and can offer us a path forward.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
And it's so touching because it's one of those things where you can't put a price on it. Like you just can't. And like I say it all the time on Healing with Ivy. It's like if I don't make a dime from this podcast, I really don't care. The purpose of it is because I spent a lot of my childhood alone. I spent a lot of my young adulthood trying to figure it out by myself alone. So what if someone doesn't have to, and they can just hear my story and kind of use that as their own like compass of what they need to do for themselves.
Yes.
And it's like when I was raising my sister's kids with her and her husband, because he was extremely ill in the beginning, I just wanted to grow up to be the best example for them. So if I can do that for the 7 of those kids, I can do it for every person that I come in contact with.
I love that. You know, Sarah, you also talked about, you know, the creative end of this. I think it's so important that, you know, I've always said I wasn't very creative, and my friends have gone, no way, you know, but really talking to people through this source has brought some amazing, I think, just notifications within myself to say, hey, you know, you are more creative than you think, and you can connect with people in more creative ways. You know, Ivy, you're, you know, reaching people with your experiences and just talking through and with your emotions. Sarah, your creativity is coming through and you have that background. I think that's so important that, you know, all of our guests that we've had on Coffee and Words that I've seen, you know, create different for their creativity in different ways, from a wrestler to, you know, artist. I mean, to, you know, people who cook and have started their business. They're all very creative in different ways. And it's really, really inspiring to see how they've gotten there and living their dream as well.
No, definitely. And my podcast has inspired me for my like career. You know, I just recently started going back to school for my psychology degree, and you know, with being a wrestler and with being, you know, the entertainer and all the things that I've done, I really want to be there for athletes, especially male athletes that are not speaking about mental health because of their you know, their upbringing and things like that. And it's so funny. The show Ted Lasso started that feeling. And ever since then, it's just something that I just couldn't get off my mind. And, you know, when you can't get something off your mind, you got to get it done. You just
Absolutely.
have to. That's how you know it's your purpose, when it doesn't leave you alone inside of your head.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you take your experiences with wrestling and comedy and all of that into your podcast? You know, like, do all of your creative mediums feed each other?
They do. They all intertwine eventually. And especially like on the podcast, season 3 in 2023 is going to show a little bit more of the athletic side, a lot more male guests, and, you know, a lot more women that are either bodybuilders or, you know, are plus size and they're strong. You know, you know, my cardigan is hiding them, but the muscles are there. So, you know, just going further and beyond, like what you do doesn't define you. Who you are, your character, how you love on people, how do you forgive, how do you grieve? That's what defines you. And the moment you know that and you've learned that is so freeing. So I got my first 80 on my first exam, so that means I'm going in the right direction.
Yes. That's so important. And how you show up, how you're present, you know, not just being there, but really being there.
And sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard because the message that I want to convey it means so deep, and it's changed me in such a deep way that sometimes my own fear of like, oh my God, what if people take this wrong? Like the previous podcast was talking about, you know, that perspective, that perception that you throw out there. And, you know, I always make sure I kind of throw out my disclaimers like, hey, this is my real intentions. If something's not coming through and you're not comprehending it on your end, this is the disclaimer I have just to let you know, like, hey, my heart is pure and it's real. And I want you to feel like you're sitting down with your best friend and they're giving you the advice that no one else has.
I love that. Yeah. Just like Coffee and Words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're your new best friends. Yeah.
Coffee and Words. I love it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Cheryl, you've had some experience with the music industry in Nashville here a little bit. Like what have you seen there, those connections, and how has that world kind of helped you in any of this?
It is so energetic. I love being a part of that. I love live music. I don't care what kind of live music it is. I dragged Sarah to a rap show 2 weeks ago, and she was going nuts. I thought I was going to have to catch her. She was jumping up too much. But the thing about it was just so electrifying and so amazing to see people living their dream. This young man who was not even 30 yet, living his dream. I met him on a flight back from Bozeman, Montana. And I called Sarah, I bought tickets. I was like, he's coming to Nashville. Will you please go with me? I don't know any of his music. And she's like, heck yeah. And he's so inspiring. The people there were so inspiring. And I just love the energy that Nashville has. I think we're the melting pot of the South, honestly. We're
I love Nashville.
Yeah, it's amazing. We are very open to all cultures and all people from what I've seen. And just, are kind of a big family, in my opinion. So the music business really, I think, is the common denominator, the common language that ties a lot of folks in Nashville together. And it's been great to see that.
Well, I went to Nashville for the first time this year, and I fell in love with the Strip. And I am coming back. We'll talk about that more on that later privately. But
I want to be your hype girl when you get back to wrestling. That's me. I am so in it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I will love that. There's a few federations out there that want to steal me, and it's in progress for sure.
Right.
Count me in.
But you're talking about meeting someone on a plane, Cheryl. Talk about connections. Talk about anywhere that we go, whether we're podcasters or not.
Yeah.
That the connections we can make, and maybe we even miss those opportunities because we don't. If you hadn't have said anything to him, you never would have had that moment of learning about art that you didn't even know existed.
Absolutely. I talk to anybody though. I'm that person. My friends are like, do you know them? I'm like, no, not yet. But I just kind of reached across the aisle. Yeah, you too. Kind of just reached across the aisle and I was like, hey man, and we started talking, and it was pretty amazing. Of course, meanwhile, when I turned away, I'm texting my 32-year-old children to go, do you know who this is? I'm like, I feel I should know him. And they were like, oh my gosh, they were really excited about it.
I didn't know who he was. And so now I do. I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know him or the
wild
act. That was, so now I'm following them on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Same. So pretty exciting.
Yeah. What inspired you to even start a podcast? So you've already done humanitarian work, Cheryl, and Sarah, you've been in theater. You've been in theater and you have come across so many different people and have obtained so many different connections. What made you decide this is what you wanted to embark on next?
Yeah. I love this story. I love talking about this because I stumbled upon what I'm doing right now. I'm not someone that's like, all right, put a camera in front of me and woo, let's go. No, I'm the one that's always like, no, I'll be behind the camera. But I watched a similar show. It's kind of a little bit of a variety type show on Instagram that came out in 2020. A couple of actors started it, and it was so much fun, and it was so engaging, and I could not stop watching it. And I was like, I want to do this, because they would talk to interesting people. I think the thing that got me the most about that one was their guests that they would bring on were so different, and just they were creatives, but they came from all different, realms and spectrums of life. And it was just very different in that you got to see people that I'd not known most of these people existed. And so now I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, wow. So I thought, man, I know a lot of creatives. What if I just go talk to people and say, hey, you want to come on this show and put this thing together? So it started off as more fun and just let's see where it goes.
It's still fun, Sarah. It's
still fun.
Oh, really? All right.
It's still fun.
But then it became where people are reaching out to me. Oh man, I love what you're doing. Oh, this really helped me. Oh, you've inspired me to go do this thing that I've been wanting to do, but didn't, they hadn't thought maybe that they could do it. I think that's the biggest thing. We all have ideas and we're like, oh, I won't be good at that. Or, well, nobody will watch me if I start a podcast, or nobody care. I don't have anything important to say. We do that to ourselves, that we think, oh, this person is fantastic, but I'm not as good as them, so I won't do the thing. And so whether it's a podcast, whether it's a painting, whether it's baking the best blueberry muffins in the world, whatever, if you have a thing that you want to do, or you're just curious about a thing, go start it, go try it, go do it. Because I would not have thought, so this podcast, Coffee and Words, turns 1 year old, I think around the first week of November. So we're coming up on the 1-year birthday. We're in season 3. And I never would have thought that it would have reached as many people and touched as many people as it has. And so that's very humbling for me to go, wow, just to think about the fact that people are coming and watching and they're taking something away from it. And so I never envisioned this, but it's just a very positive experience for me. And then I'm learning from my guests, and there's no value that you can put on that,
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm riding on Sarah's coattails. It's been a lot of fun. She was sweet enough to bring me along to co-host on a few episodes this season. And when we really start talking about this at the very beginning, I was like, I will have nothing to offer. And then as we're getting through this, my wheels start turning. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this person, or I know these people. Hey, where can we go with this? And can Sarah use this? Can we focus them in on what our
what the mission is and the message. I think that's what she was gonna convey. That's the most important thing, is our why, our purpose. Like you froze, Cheryl. So I jumped in. I jumped in a little bit.
Well, Cheryl has come on this season as one of the producers on the show. And so just very blessed to have her. And we coordinate very well together. We work very well together. And I really appreciate the behind the scenes work that she's doing on Coffee and Words, because she's able to provide valuable insight on things. And when you work with a team, you get all these perspectives that culminate together and just really enrich the show and what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And we don't agree on everything. It's great because of the different perspectives that come in from, our executive producer and our artistic director. And it's amazing because I am learning so much, again, just by riding on Sarah's coattails and learning from this podcast. So I'm very thankful that she's involved me.
Can you guys hear the music in the background by any chance?
No.
Oh,
you have an amazing mic.
So I'm at the Arts Council where the studio is, and there's a music studio back this way, and they're giving music lessons. And so we've got guitars and singing, and so it's pretty awesome.
Oh, so they're just serenading you.
I have a concert. It's a live concert on International Podcast Day.
They're serenading all the podcasters on this stream today, whether they were early this morning or earlier in the afternoon till late at night.
And I'm really thankful for events like this and Jeff and other people who put things on like this, where podcasters can come together and we can see and learn about each other, all these different podcasts that I haven't been exposed to yet. So I've been watching throughout the day. It's been great. And I love these opportunities to grow that family, and that community, and to connect with more people.
Yeah, because you start being identified as an individual, nothing else matters at that point. And I think that's what's really important for people to really grasp the idea that that individual is a human being just like you. And although you might not agree with some things that they say, they too have a message that is worthy of hearing and understanding and supporting.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very important. Very important, man.
I think I just thought about this. I think podcasting is taking over radio, though. I mean, I'm kind of feeling sorry for radio now, because every time I get in my car, I'm turning it on. I'm not listening to the radio anymore, So I think that's saying a lot. I think we're all striving for either personal growth or personal enrichment, just to, have our minds a little bit more stimulated, during those downtimes of driving, or even maybe cleaning house, walking around the house, doing chores or whatever we do. I think podcasting is actually becoming such a major part of all of our lives.
Yeah. And I love that anybody can do it. If you've got something to say, get out there, let your voice be heard. And, we can choose, we have more access to content via podcasts and what we want to listen to. And there's so many different exciting things. There's murder mystery podcasts. How cool is that, to be able to listen to all of these different people come together in what they're passionate about, what they love, And it's like making new best friends all the time, because then you feel like you're a part of their life and their community and what they're doing.
I love that.
And it's like an extension of like, you know, your network and just of your circle. And you know, sometimes even other podcasts that I listen to, it makes me kind of just check in with myself and just make sure that I have the right people in my life that are supporting me and loving on me and not providing any toxicity whatsoever. So it's that level of really appreciating, like I said, Ted Lasso, I used to feel like I never had a voice. I was the quiet person, no matter my talents. I was never, encouraged to be myself. In my first episode, I talk about how I wore many masks just to fit in the environment that I was in and how I got tired of that. And it took a whole concussion and amnesia in 2020 for me to understand that it was time to heal, and whether it was from the past or situations that are taking place currently, it was time to just take better care of myself. And that's what I always love to promote. Take care of you before you take care of anyone else, because then who's going to take care of you when you're down?
True. It's so sad, but yet it's a good thing in so many ways that, some does bring us to a better place. And 100%. And I've been there myself. We've all been there on this podcast. And I think everybody, people have said to me, oh, well, mine is not like yours or as bad as your trauma. It's like, you know what? You can't put a label on that, because you went through yours and I went through mine. And so just understanding that other people are out there going through things, and it's always going to change our lives. And do we ever get over our trauma? No. Do we move on and live life in spite of our trauma? 100%. Hopefully, that's
learning
the goal.
how to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to
and appreciate it.
Go through the
Respect
rest of
it.
your life, yes, with that, and working through it and with it, and then hopefully being able to use that to help someone
Yes.
else.
And your trauma are your indicators of what you feel safe with, what you don't feel safe, what you allow, what you don't allow. That way you're able to set, and I'm always talking about this on my social media, those boundaries.
Mhm.
That's how you create those healthy relationships. Like, hey, this ABC, don't get me to Z, because I'm very quick to open up the door and let you out.
Yeah.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, I love that we can find that support, whatever that support is. We can find a like group, if we want to get specific in the podcast forum, which has been great.